Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged. Today we are talking about the rise of the all-in-one diode laser. Starting last year, 2023, we started seeing this huge rise in the all-in-one lasers, and we see that behind me you can check out the Lasermatic MK2. That's the 30 watt version, but it's a 30 and 10. And I could have any machine that I want, and that's the one that I wanted. And I'll go over why that is later in the video, but there's a lot of great machines out there. In fact, there's some up and coming ones that haven't come out yet that I'm very excited to see. So if you love lasers, regardless of what kind, like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to be going over everything. In fact, when it comes to these lasers, I'm going to go over the packaging, the assembly, the looks, the size, the power, the cable management, the accessories, the software, which is super, super important, and a lot of other things. So let's just get into looking at this. We are probably going to see a 100 watt or 100 watt plus diode laser in 2024. That is incredible. I mean, last year at the beginning of the year, I had a 10 watt Ortur Laser Master 3. You could probably look at that. Wasn't happy with it. I think Ortur at the time anyway was a pretty good company. That one just wasn't quite ready yet. And 10 watts, although okay for starting out, really wasn't enough for me because I like to do a lot of cutting. Now, there is a 10 watt laser that I would recommend, and that is the Creality Falcon Pro 10 watt. Now, that's the Pro one, not the regular one. The Falcon Pro, I'll put it up on the screen so you can see. Anyway, that's the only 10 watt laser that I've ever truly enjoyed using. And I'll have a link for that down below. But again, I could use any one I want. I'm not advertising it because I'm sponsored. I'm advertising because it's good. And it literally does everything. And I need to do another video explaining all that. I do have a video review of it, but it really is pretty amazing. But that's not what we're talking about today. 10 watt just wasn't enough for me. When the 20 watt laser came out, I was just like, oh, thank you. I was so happy. Because now I could consistently cut out the wood that I wanted to cut out. And I wasn't wasting wood. And I was able to do 1/4 inch pretty easily. I had the longer 20 watt, and that thing was just such a workhorse. I love Longer Laser. I think they're one of the best companies out there. And they have never, ever let me down. And I'm sure this year they will be coming out with an all-in-one laser. But then we started seeing 30 and 40 watt lasers. And when you went up in that sort of power, you really need a good eye protection enclosure. And I think the companies were starting to recognize that. And Rolly comes out with the Lasermatic 10. Again, I recommended it to anybody who wanted a 10 watt laser, but it just wasn't powerful enough for me. And I didn't see the value in the 10 watt laser for most people, because 20 watt, did pretty good engraving. And to be able to have that extra power was something really nice. Now that we've got the 30 watt, this one, again, this one switches from 10 to 30 watts, so you can get the nice engraving and you can get the nice cutting. You've got 40 watt lasers like the X-Tool S1. But again, I think you're going to see 40, 50, 60, 100 watt diode lasers that are all in one, that come with everything. That's going to be the new trend for the year. But if you were to get one right now, what would I recommend for an all-in-one? Well, let's take a look at what's out there. I had the We Create Vision, and that is a beautiful machine. And I can tell somebody did a lot of work creating it, no pun intended. And, it's really nice. But to be honest, I can't recommend it. The software, while having a lot of promise. I don't think they've quite followed through. And if you look at it, it says light burn compatible, but it's really not, at least not at this time. So what we got is a software that's just not, I mean, Xtool software is night and day, way further along. And the problem is there's no guarantee that they're going to follow through. Now they might, and I will totally change my mind if this happens. They are still putting commercials up. I was looking at the new Creality, one I'm going to mention here in a minute, but I see their advertising here. So they are going strong, which makes me think they are behind their laser, and we are going to see significant improvement in the software over time. And I'm pretty sure they're going to come out with a new model, and it'll be their second model. It'll probably be a bit better. So I'm going to say wait and see on the WeCreate myself. I did video reviews on this, and I said the same, that the software is my one concern right there. And since it's at the bottom of the thing, I'm going to mention this. I wasn't really sold on Creality when they first started making laser engravers. I know they do the 3D printer, so they already have a head start there, but I just wasn't a big fan of their early lasers. And then I got the 10 watt Pro, as I said, and I thought, wow, they just literally did everything. The thing was super easy to put together. The fan turned off when it wasn't working. You had adjustable air and light burn. It just
Clean AF.
Everything it did was just beautiful. So I said, you know what? Creality's done it. They've come along. So what are they going to do next? I actually want to start working with them. And here we are, just coming out. In fact, it's out in some countries, I think, but I have not seen anything here in the United States. The Creality Laser Falcon 2 Pro 40 watts. Now, yes, they have a Falcon 2, and basically it looks like they just took the Falcon 2 and then they put an enclosure on it, basically. There's a couple other tweaks here, but that's basically what they did. I will put this review in the description. This seems like a really, really great machine. So, it's hard to tell when you haven't actually seen it yet. And this is the easiest way to make mistakes as a reviewer. I've been right. I did a review of the Rolly Lasermatic, and before I got it, just because of the trust I had in the other reviewers, that I could kind of tell that it was an amazing machine, and I was right. But, earlier I didn't recommend it, but I showed you guys a video about the OhmTech laser, because they came out with a diode laser, and I just figured, hey, it's probably going to be great. Well, it wasn't so great. And so that is a big mistake that you can make as a reviewer, trying to, I want to tell you what's the latest and what's coming out. That is an issue. Just because what a company has done in the past doesn't always mean what they're going to do in the future. But I do want you to keep an eye on this. It should be coming out really quickly. And that's the Creality Laser Falcon 2 Pro, 40 watt. I think this is going to be fantastic. So as soon as I find out more, I will let everybody know. The next one I wanted to talk about, the Xtool S1. I get a lot of flack for this, but I've just never really recommended Xtool. And there have been different reasons for that. I think that their CO2, the S2, I believe, I think that is actually a really, really good machine, and it's probably a great purchase for the money, especially over something like a Glowforge or something like that. I think a lot of the things that come with it are just gimmicks, mostly for most people. The conveyor belt, the way that it's supposed to be able to, engrave on uneven surfaces, all this sort of stuff. When you really look into it, it's more trouble than it's worth in many cases. But the laser itself, I think, it seems like a really robust machine that can do a lot of work. I'm sure the S1 is no different in a lot of ways, but I think this is a kind of a prototype of what is to come for Xtool. I think they're going to likely come out with a different model of this year, and it will probably be better. But the S1 40 watt, I'm sure, is wonderful, but it's quite expensive. And I think it does have some downsides that make it just not worth it. And I'll leave this review in the description, and it kind of goes over some of the things that I had concerns with, and some of the things that just Xtool seems to have issues with altogether. But I would say that, the software, the Xtool software seems to be really coming along and doing really well. And as far as the proprietary softwares goes, maybe it's about the best out there. But I still recommend that everybody learn light burn and everybody get a laser that is light burn compatible, because once you've learned it, and you could take it to whatever machine you end up getting. So anyways, I thought this was a good review from somebody who has a machine that you should watch at least before you decide to buy an Xtool S1. And then we can, of course, get to the one that I ended up choosing, which is the Lasermatic MK2 from Rolly Automation. Now, again, I could have whatever machine I wanted. I usually can just go and beg the company. But I've always been a fan of Rolly Automation, just because, they're like a very small company with the best customer service. And last year, I recommended Acer as my number one brand, Acer and longer. And why am I no longer recommending Acer? I don't think it's because they don't make a great product. I think they do, but their customer service just went MIA. And a lot of people were left hanging, and that's just not cool. So they may improve that at some point in the future. But as of right now, I can't really recommend Acer. And I think that's too bad. Not all the companies are going to make it this year. I don't know which ones will and which ones won't. But I'm pretty darn sure that Leo and Rolly Automation are going to be around, and they really, really care about what they're doing. So I want to support a smaller business that cares what they're doing, that pays attention to their customers, that tries to make changes on the fly as best they can. And I think at a very, very reasonable price for what you're getting. Now, is the Lasermatic MK2, of course, I'll have a link in the description for this as well. Is it perfect? My answer is no. In fact, none of them are perfect. But there's one fatal flaw, I believe, in the Lasermatic MK2, even though I still decided that this was the one for me, the one that I would put in my house. It is the fact that the fan doesn't turn off when you're not using it. That's really it. But the thing is that the upsides are just so beyond what a lot of the other lasers have that it was kind of a no-brainer for me. But I tell you, that fan being on all the time is annoying. And if that's something that might bother you, you want to think about that. Don't take that lightly. Now, if you're out in a garage or you have this outside or whatever, it may not be an issue for you. But what a gorgeous machine. Holy moly. You take this thing out of the box, you're just like, wow. Such attention to detail. You could see it's got the linear rails on both axes. The honeycomb bed has a fixed position, and this is one of the problems that people have with the S1. It has a fixed position. It's always where it is. And so you can line things up perfectly. It has a camera. The S1 does not have a camera. The things with the cable met, it's just, when you go down the line, when you think packaging is amazing, the assembly it's put together so perfectly for sending it to you, right? For the packaging, so that everything is secure. And then It's pretty much assembled when you get it. It looks gorgeous. The size is about, it's what your standard size. They will probably be coming out with a bigger version, a more powerful version. Having the 10 watt and the 30 watt available, very cool. Now I'll probably almost never switch that, but I will do some tests for you guys. It has lots of accessories, the Airworks and Lightburn. Everything is just high quality, but you also have a very robust customer service. And you do have new things coming out for it all of the time. Like, hey, mine, the rear fan, it comes out of the back. And, well, that doesn't really work for me because it kind of gets in the way of my setup. Now, they have come up with a way that now you can replace one of the side panels and you can exhaust out the side instead of the back. I mean, just little things like that. That this company is really paying attention to everything. And I appreciate it. I want to support that. And I think as far as that goes, they are the number one company in the business right now. So this isn't a commercial for Rolly, but I figured since that was the one I chose, that people were going to wonder why. But there's a lot of great lasers out there, like I said. I am really excited to see the Creality come out, and I want to see how that matches up. I mean, hey, the Lasermatic MK2 is only 30 watts compared to what you can get a 40 watt on the S1 or the Creality, or longer laser makes an amazing 40 watt. B1 40 watt with 44 to 48 watts of output. That's almost a 50 watt laser. I know for sure this thing is an absolute beast. I've done a review on it. And it's never going to let you down. So if you don't need an all-in-one, I mean, that's an amazing, amazing machine right there for $1,230. If eventually they will come out with an all-in-one. I know they will. There will probably be others that will be amazing that are coming out this year. So if you want to be patient, you can be patient and hold out for the higher power, hold out for that first 100 watt diode laser. But I really think the all-in-one is here to stay. I like it. One of the huge changes we've seen this year is not just the all-in-one, but the fact that everything there's no setup. That is a huge change from the beginning of 2023. You almost always had to build the whole machine yourself. And I'm not really so great at that. I'd always get something wrong and have to rebuild it over again. And there's so many, when you're putting in your own belts and everything, there's just so many ways that you can make mistakes, especially for somebody who is new to lasers. So there's just a lot of things that have happened over the past year that just make diode lasers better and better and better. And now that you can use a lot of different acrylics, I go over that in one of my videos. It really is, and they're so much faster that, it'd be hard to run a full-time business. But for a part-time business, these all-in-ones are absolutely ready to go. And there's a lot of drawbacks to a CO2 laser that diode lasers just don't have. There's a lot of extra things that you have to worry about. So do I think that diode lasers will replace CO2 lasers? No, because of, there are just some things that the wavelength won't cut. But for the most part, yes. I mean, I used to have the 40 watt CO2 laser and I got rid of it because it wasn't worth having just for the few things that I could do on it that I couldn't do with a diode laser. But hey, if cutting acrylic all day is your thing, then, maybe you just got to go with the CO2. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of things here. It was just kind of an off-the-cuff video. I just wanted to kind of go over this all-in-one craze because I think it's here to stay. And I wanted to start making videos again. It had been a couple weeks. So, again, let me know what you think down below. Let me know what's on your mind these days and what you'd like to talk about. And I will see you in the next one. Love y'all.